Shalom, everyone. This is Amir Tsarfati, and I am live from Galilee. I'm still in my office because the studio is going through the last final preparations for next week, where we're going to start our first Mideast update. And from then on, every week, a few times a week. But until then, I'm here in my own office with a view of the Jezreel Valley behind me, the Valley of Armageddon. I wanted to give you some news about what went on yesterday, what's going on now, and what is expected tonight and tomorrow. So I'll start with a prayer, and then, of course, we will dive into it. Father, I thank you for everything. Yesterday was an amazing day. We thank you that you are the one that brings back the captives of Zion back to their homes. Lord, I thank you that there are millions around the world that are still getting it, that they understand the powers of evil. And I ask you that you give them strength and patience, endurance, perseverance, to hold on to the truth. We are thanking you, Father, that we are able to have access still to true and unfiltered information. And we ask that you will now allow me to speak the truth, and for everyone that is watching to press the button of share so we can share it. We thank you again in Yeshua's name. Amen. So, shalom, everyone. This is Amir Tsarfati live with breaking news from Galilee, from Israel again. This is not yet our Mideast update, which will start next week when our studio will be perfectly ready for it. Just so you can see down right here, as you can see, it's the QR code for my Telegram channel, and let me explain to you why. I'm unable to show you some videos for various reasons. And Telegram is the only place I can do so. And therefore, and it's free, and it's accessible, and it's private, and it's encrypted. And so this is where you get everything that I'm talking about today. This is where you can get everything with much more information, like videos and like photos, as well as maps and sound bites. So please do me a favor. Again, this is right there, the QR code, and you can jump on and subscribe and follow me there. Now, let me explain what happened yesterday. If you follow me on Telegram, you know very well that from the very first 20 minutes following the operation, I began to give you information. Those in America, you were still asleep. Those in Australia, New Zealand, as well as Europe and Israel and the Middle East, you were well informed yesterday from the moment it began all the way. And but I wanted to take you all the way back so you can understand what really happened yesterday, and in general, what's going on in Gaza. So first of all, let me make it very clear, we're winning in Gaza. I mean, it's taking longer because of two reasons, not because we can't do it. We can do it. We want to do it. Rafah, it's been almost 2.5, 3 weeks that we've been there. We took over 40% of the city. We could have taken 100% of it if Biden would have allowed us to operate with two divisions, but we were asked to be using smaller force, and therefore things takes time. And you have to understand, folks, that we are fighting in two different levels. This is a warfare unlike any other that any country ever fought in history, parallel to what is going on above the ground. We are exploring hundreds of miles of tunnels where sometimes we are having some issues, such as booby trap shafts as well as explosive barrels within the tunnel. So we have special teams that are exploring, deactivating, and then destroying tunnels, as well as those teams that are above the ground that are fighting other terrorists. Hamas has still about 6,000 terrorists. Most of them are either hiding under the ground or in civilian populated neighborhoods and shelters of the displaced people of the UN. They are in UN schools and UN clinics and hospitals. Everywhere they shouldn't be, that's where they are. And so Israel is taking time. And again, if we were up for a genocide, this war would have ended long time ago. Um, in fact, I'll be very honest with you. The most moral military on planet Earth is a military that is calling people, sending text messages, sending leaflets from the air, telling uninvolved civilians to leave. We're telling them to leave. We're asking them to leave. We're after the terrorists. Now, unfortunately, many of them don't leave because they are terrorists. And that brings me to yesterday. The operation known today as Operation Arnon, named after Arnon Zamora, the captain that died once he broke into the room where the 3 male hostages were kept. If it was not for him doing that, those 3 hostages would have been executed. He kept the captors busy with him while his team members shot the hostage takers and rescue the hostages within a few minutes. So so we call it Operation Arnon, just like we call it the Entebbe operation in Uganda when we rescued the passengers of the Air France hijacked flight in 1976. We named it after Benjamin Netanyahu's brother, Jonathan, Yoni. So we call it Operation Yonatan. Now, let me take you back a month and a half ago when Israel receives the initial information that there are hostages that are alive and they're kept in 2 different buildings in the most populated area in the Gaza Strip. The most populated area in the Gaza Strip, the Nuseirat camp, and in the most populated area. And why do you think they're kept there? They're kept there for 2 reasons. So the locals will alert Hamas if somebody's coming. And also, there are a lot of casualties if Israel will try to rescue them. So they thought Israel will not dare to rescue them from there. So it's, why don't we keep them there? So 200 meters apart, 2 different buildings, 2nd and 3rd floor. In one building, Noah Gamani is kept, the 26-year-old girl that was kidnapped and her boyfriend was murdered from the Nova Festival. And she, believe it or not, she was kept in the home of a journalist of Al Jazeera who worked also for other outlets, including the Palestine Chronicles, and he was in the spokespersons of the Ministry of Work, I think, of Hamas. And his father, who is a doctor and a journalist, were holding a hostage for months in their home. And the other 3 male hostages were in a different place, 200 meters away. So once we received the information that these are in the same area, the same camp, in the same location, we thought, why don't we kill 2 birds with 1 stone? The intel was received also thanks to U.S. surveillance methods from a UAV flights of U.S. aircrafts above Gaza Strip. Signals, phone signals, and other signals that verify that there are hostages there and they're alive and they're well. Israel decided to move forward. A mock model of that particular street was built in one of Israel's military exercising areas in southern Israel. And the Yamam, the special central unit of the Israeli police, it's a special counter-terror unit, the best in the world to release hostages. But it's not a military; it's a police. It's a police unit. They were the ones, because of their expertise in releasing hostages, they were the ones that were trained. Together with the Secret Service of Israel, they have special tequila teams that you know them from the Netflix series Fauda, if you've watched them. Anyway, they began to train, and once everything was ready, last Thursday, Prime Minister Netanyahu signed off on the approval to go for this operation. And the operation requires 3 different layers. Now, let me explain. The first layer is the small team of Yamam and Shin Bet. Those are non-military hostage rescuing units. And they are perfect and very, very expert in blending among Arab population. That's what the whole Fauda series is all about. So they dressed like the locals. They were driving a local car, and they were, in fact, on my Telegram channel, you can see the car. It's a truck, and behind they put some mattresses and furnitures that you can see a lot of those in the streets of the Gaza area, since many people started moving from north to south, from south to north. And so now that's the first layer of those who are going to use a ladder, climb up, use silencer, kill the hostage takers, and rescue the hostages. Then there is the commander military units that are supposed to rescue the Yamam, the Shin Bet, and the hostages. So there's 20 people that now needs to be taken out of the most populated area in Gaza. And then there is the other military forces with tanks and helicopters and air and fighter jets to obviously give an umbrella of fire to allow the commanding units to extract the special hostage rescuers out with the hostages. So again, 3 different layers here. And let me make it very, very clear. The first layer, the 20 people that managed to go in, they had no one around them. They were driving this truck. And I believe that I have a photo of the truck. Take a look at this. Here it is, this Mercedes Sprinter. And look at the ladder that the arrow is pointing at, the ladder that allowed them to break into the 2nd floor, okay? All right, so you saw the truck. They drove the truck. Locals stopped them and asked them, what are you doing? And they said, oh, we came from Khan Yunis, from another place. We're looking to move to this area. And then they parked next to the first apartment where Noah Argamani was kept, put the ladder, climbed up, killed immediately the people that were holding her, which is the journalist and his wife and their father and all of those, together with Hamas people. And immediately at the same time, another team was on the way to rescue the other 3. And that's where things kind of went wrong. Not exactly wrong, but everybody by then knew that something is going on. And when the team member of Yamam, the team commander of Yamam, Arnon, broke into the apartment, he knew that if he's going in, by that time, everybody knew something is going on. If he's not going in, if he is waiting a few seconds, the hostages will be executed. So he literally sacrificed himself by breaking in, getting the fire fired at him while his team members behind him, killing the hostage takers extracting the 3 hostages, and then they moved into a car, local car. The problem is that the car had a malfunction with its gear and it got stuck. An APC, armored personnel carrier, shows up. They move inside the APC. The APC got stuck. This is when the drama went even further, to the point where, now listen to this. They're telling you that that civilians got killed. All of Hamas terrorists are wearing civilian clothes. All of them. Suddenly, from everywhere, people who looked innocent civilians pulled RPGs, A-47s, hand grenades, and rained fire on the team. And that is when the commando team, remember the second tier, intervened, extracted Yamam and Shin Bet with the hostages, and then escorted them all the way to the helicopters that took them back to Israel. On the way, of course, Captain Arnon Zamora unfortunately died on the helicopter. They couldn't save his life. He literally sacrificed himself by getting all the fire on him, and that's it. Hamas was shocked because they were sure that the locals in the most densely populated area on planet Earth are the biggest insurance policy that they can keep those hostages. Now, why is it that those hostages were so important to them? It's because none of them, I think, was part of the coming deal that everybody's talking about. This humanitarian deal did not include the 3 male hostages. They wanted to wait with these 3 male hostages for making sure Israel is on its knees, allowing Hamas to win this war. And that's why they're so angry. They just released a video a few minutes ago saying that during the operation, Israel killed 3 more hostages, among which one was American. It's baloney. It's fake. There were no other hostages in that immediate area. And the reason why they mentioned that among them was an American is to make the Americans now coming against us. Another thing that they did is that they started spreading rumors that the new pier that the U.S. humanitarian pier that the U.S. just built that fell apart, and now they built it again. They said that Israel used the pier and used American vehicles, all of that, in order to go into Nuseirat camp and extract basically they're saying America is responsible, and now that humanitarian pier that U.S. taxpayers paid hundreds of millions of dollars to feed the Gazans, Hamas now says that this is a legitimate target. They want to destroy the U.S. built and paid for pier that is there only for humanitarian aid to come and help the Gazans. And if you're following me on Telegram, and let me remind you, this is the QR code for the Telegram channel. If you're following me on Telegram channel, you know that they're so angry, not only at Israel, but they're also angry at America. And now they're also angry at the Arab leaders around the world. By the way, King Abdullah celebrated last night the 25th anniversary of his coronation. So in Jordan, there were fireworks, and the Gazans were angry. How come you celebrate when we are? They're always angry because others don't really follow suit with them. But that's not enough. If you go to Telegram, you'll see there is a video right now that emerged from Ramallah, another Palestinian city in the West Bank, where everybody's chilling by the swimming pool with males and females with bikini, which is by itself a problem for the Muslims and caused the police there to go and shut down the party. But think about it. It's not only that the Arab world is not siding with them, it's the Palestinians in the West Bank that don't even care anymore. By the way, I have tons of videos that proves that they are faking so much of their footage about casualties. You see horrific videos of children that are actually fake. You can tell it's fake. You can see that it's fake. I'm embarrassed to even post it on Telegram. But there's channels all about Pallywood and Gaza wood. You can find them everywhere. You see it. It's terrible. It's a whole industry. In fact, there's a whole industry of online donations. Palestinians, they show something, they collect hundreds of thousands or sometimes $500,000, and then they disappear. And there's others that are not even Palestinians that are gathering donations for the Palestinians, and they disappear as well. And the world, the foolish world, is continuing to not only eat from the hands of Hamas Information Bureau, but also give money for what? For a fake industry of fake genocide. If anything, if they only listen, if they only give up. Now watch this. Everybody's talking about the deal. Everybody's talking about let's have a deal with the Hamas, okay? Now, Hamas already rejected Israel's offer. But what is it that Hamas says? Hamas says three things. One, we want to stay in power. Two, we will never be disarmed. Three, we're plotting another October 7th. They said that on television. We will do it again and again. And how can they do it if they are armed? So on what planet do people think that Israel will ever agree to end the war before Hamas is no longer in power, no longer armed, and no longer capable of another October 7th? On what planet? It can never happen. If they lay down their arms, release the hostages, this war can end today. Anyone that suggests you that a deal can solve the problem, that a ceasefire can help, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because they themselves say that they will repeat October 7th. And the only way for them to repeat October 7th is to stay armed and stay in power. I don't get it. So basically, it's important that we all understand that civilians were holding our hostages. Civilians were covering up for the hostage takers or hostage keepers. And it's mostly, that's why you see mostly civilians casualties. And it's all drenched with hypocrisy and deception. It's an Al Jazeera reporter. It's a doctor and people that, they're supposed to be the moral compass, and we proved from day one that the journalists on the side of Hamas are Hamas members. You should see on my Telegram what that same journalist wrote on October 7th. He praised that massacre. He's a member of Hamas. So I wouldn't fall into that trap of believing all of their reports. I also want you to know that what we proved is that deals don't bring back anyone. It's strength and power and military maneuver into the depth of Gaza. And you will see, we are going to retrieve more either living hostages or bodies of those dead ones that are still there. I mean, and remember, in the hostage deal that people think that Hamas will ever agree to, of course they will not, we're talking about offering them at least 100 bloody murderers that we will release from prison in exchange for one Israeli hostage, and 50 in exchange for any humanitarian release. 50. Now think about it. They themselves are setting 50 Palestinians per one Israeli. So when 200 of them die for 4 Israelis, why are you surprised? When you yourself treat yourself so cheaply. I mean, how come we're not exchanging one for one like the Ukrainians and the Russians are doing? It's because they know life is way more important to us than for them. They are as far as they're concerned, they can sacrifice hundreds, if not thousands. That's it, for the sake. And by the way, so many of them are still supporting Hamas. And they're still blaming Israel and the world and America and the Arabs for all of these things. They will blame everyone but Hamas. That's how much poisoned and brainwashed and completely depraved they are. So I just wanted to explain to you, yesterday was miraculous, was phenomenal. If you want to hear what happened, scroll back and later on and share now, but scroll back and see, I described the whole operation. And by the way, I was one of the first people to report of the rescue operation yesterday. But I want you to understand, folks, that this was an amazing day, an amazing operation that may be, to some extent, even greater than the raid on Entebbe, when we lost Netanyahu's brother and we released many hostages. And the reason why it's greater is because if you can only understand the densely populated area packed with people that are armed with RPGs, hand grenades, and AK-47, it's unbelievable. Who in his right mind can ever decide to go in such deception, in such a truck? Again, for those of you who didn't see, this is the truck the special units of the Israeli police managed to go in and rescue the hostages. This is it. A Sprinter loaded with mattresses and some old furnitures. And look at the ladders that led to the rescue operation. So quite amazing. Again, I just described the entire thing. I'm just telling you, folks, they're coming against Israel because of casualties, but these are not innocent people. And be very, very, very careful who you're watching and what you're watching, because there's so much fake Pallywood, Gazawood videos running all around. And if anything, everybody should point their finger at Hamas. Hamas kidnapped people. Hamas held the hostages in civilian populated area. I mean, who in his right mind does such a thing and expect no casualties to be done? All they expect is that we will not even try to extract them. But we did, and we brought them back alive, thankfully. So I want you to share this with as many people as you can, and let the truth always ring. And again, please, if you want to see videos and photos and maps, everything, then this is the Telegram channel you must subscribe to and follow. It's free, and it's the most important news channel for you if you don't live in Israel. Thank you again. God bless you, and shalom from Israel.
And Behold Israel channel on Telegram. Here you will receive daily updates and audio messages from Amir. You can also take part in our community and reply with comments. Getting started is easy. Simply download Telegram from the App Store, then visit the Behold Israel Telegram channel in your browser. From there, click Preview Channel, then click Join. That's it. See you on Telegram.